Hey guys, so many times when I post a picture, I receive comments like, please, can you make a tutorial or can you help us? Give us some tips on how to take better pictures. So I thought that, okay, why not make a small video dedicated to this? So today with this video I'll be sharing some very basic things, which brings us to this part that you might look at this video and feel like, oh wow, there is nothing new in this. I already knew most of it. But the thing is that, see, diecast photography is not easy. You have to go down, you have to go low on many angles which are very uncomfortable for you. They can cause stress on your lower back, on your neck. So you need to be very careful about the angles. So please be mindful of what works for you, what works for your body, and then try to take pictures the best you can. So we'll start with DSLR photography. So many people who have cameras, they enjoy taking diecast shots with them. And I've got very basic equipment, the Canon 600D. It's an old camera with three lenses: the basic lenses, the kit lens, the zoom lens, and the prime lens. So the pictures that you see in this frame are shot using the prime lens, the 50 mm, and these are 18 scale cars, so they look very nice. And the thing about these is that on the left is the Rolls Royce, and I've shot it using aperture 4, f-stop 4. So the reason that I have done that is because the doors of the Rolls Royce are very beautiful, and I wanted a lower aperture so that the focus was just not on the front grille, but the doors were also in focus. Now on the right hand side, in the Mini Champs Mercedes, it's the Mercedes from Gumball, and on that I have used a slightly higher aperture, that is 2.5, and that is because I wanted to differentiate it better. I wanted to make it stand out more from the background, and the result is a slightly sharper image. So the prime lens is a great lens to take pictures of 18 scale cars. The other settings, you can see the shutter speed, the ISO speed, and the white balance, which is set to daylight. Now these two pictures have been shot using the kit lens, which is the 1855. The top is a 18 scale car which has been shot at 18 mm, and generally I do not use this lens a lot for diecast photographs, but these are just sample shots. And the bottom one has been shot at 30 mm to create a slightly zoomed in magnified look. What you need to understand here is that when you start zooming in, the result is a very nice magnified look. However, the aperture dips, and because of that you need good lighting to ensure that these pictures look good. This was the 1855 kit lens, and now we come on to the zoom lens, that is the 55 250. And in this, these are all photos of 64 scale cars, and the top one, as you can see, it has been shot at 194 millimeters. So the basic concept of zooming in on your subject to create that creamy bokeh in the background, differentiating it from the background, making the subject stand out, and basically creating a unique magnified look, because the ultimate goal of diecast photography is to make these cars look as real as possible. So as you can see, the black G-Wagon, that's at 135 millimeters f5. So the zoom lens, it does not have very good aperture, but if you take pictures in good lighting, you can make your subject stand out and the pictures look good. As you can see on the bottom, even these pictures have been shot using the same lens. On the left, we've got two Supras, in which one is more in focus and the other one is slightly in the background. Then we've got the Supra's rear and the Bentley, both of them looking good, and the Lancer, which is a little over zoomed in shot. Coming on to 50 mm, the prime lens, on the left we've got the 64 scale cars, and on the top and the bottom we can see the Porsche and the G-Wagon, and both of them have stood out thanks to the higher aperture of that lens. So generally, not to bore you with technical talk, but it's little difficult to shoot 64 scale cars with the prime lens. But again, in the middle we can see three cars. They are placed in a diorama. They are 64 scale cars, and the sharpness of the lens has really helped me take a good picture. On the right we've got a 18 scale McLaren, which looks good, and the sharpness is brilliant. Now that pretty much concludes diecast photography using DSLRs, and we'll move on to cell phones. And cell phones are what people commonly use, and I use a Poco F1 and a Samsung S20. And the funny story is that a lot of people, they actually question me and they grill me that do you seriously use what you claim to be using. And it gives me immense pride to say that yes, because the message which I want to send out is that equipment does not matter so much. I mean, yes, okay, maybe if it's really bad, it can affect, but anything standard of a certain level, and the rest, it's all upon you. It's your hard work, and you can create some great images. So, coming on to the primary phone cameras, we can see that the three kinds of cameras you can get in cell phones these days. Smartphones are main camera, the main camera which has got a very nice quality sensor, high megapixels. Then we've got a wide angle camera, and we've got a zoom camera. So the main camera is what we use the most, and then we've got the zoom cameras, which again create that look which I have told you about using the magnifying effect. And the wide angle is not exactly useful unless and until you have the newest iPhone Pro Max. Talking about the iPhone, because it's got autofocus and you can actually focus, and you can use it as a macro camera, that's why. On the left you can see that I have placed an iPhone doing a headstand, and you may be wondering why. The reason behind this is to show you that how much distance will be there between the camera and your car if you place it in any other angle. For example, on the left I've placed a car, and the car is taking up all the space and the camera is not even close to it. However, when you place the camera in an angle where it is closest to the car, the better chances you have to take a good picture. Just think of this as something that you want to practice in your daily life and see how it affects your pictures. Five very simple things which you need to keep in mind while taking pictures, and I'm pretty sure all of you know all of these, and you're just wondering that I already knew all of these, so have I wasted my time watching this? But what you need to understand is that everyone knows a lot of things, but how many things are you able to practice? To be very clear here, you have got a few things to keep in mind, and that is, first of all, shoot with the light. Never try to shoot against the light. I understand that the HDR capabilities of your cell phone cameras, they encourage you to shoot against the light, against sunsets or some extraordinary occasions. It's okay, but do not make it a habit. Secondly, get low, because these cars are small, and the lower angle the better, the more realistic you'll be able to make it look. Then tap to focus, because sometimes you take a very good picture but the car is not in focus, and then that is just a waste of your time and energy. And then get rid of the clutter in the background, because you might be taking a very good picture but then there is some clutter in the background which makes your picture look horrible. And lastly, and most importantly, what you need to take care of is the scale in which you are shooting. For example, if you're shooting a 64 scale car, then even a coin next to it will make the car look really small. Sometimes even when you're shooting on the sand or something, the sand grains are too big for the car's wheels. So you have to be aware of your surroundings and try to understand what works for your picture. So these are some 18 scale cars which I have shot using my cell phone. And actually the Porsche, the yellow GT2 RS, is a 24 scale model, but if you have a good decent low angle, then you don't need to do anything else. The cars are big enough and the angle is good enough to create extremely nice and realistic pictures, as you can see in all these four images. Then again we come on to another set of pictures, and these I have shot using my Samsung camera, which feels to be a little wider because of its aspect ratio. And you can see that these are some decent wide kind of pictures, but because they are from a low angle, all the cars in the picture are looking good. For example, the Rolls Royce and the Lamborghini and the Paganis, all of them have got a characteristic touch even though these are scale models. Now I want you to compare the picture of the yellow Mercedes on the left and on the right. On the left the car looks much bigger and on the right it looks much smaller. It is the same car shot using the same cell phone. So what made the difference? What really mattered here is that on the left the frame is full of the car and on the right there is a lot of other space which makes the car look much smaller. So that's why I tell you to be very careful about framing. Similarly, on the bottom here, we've got the Audi R8 and that is 18 scale model, but it has been shot using a phone camera and it is filling the frame, so it's looking good. Over here, we've got a few pictures shot using the phone, and the motorcycle, it looks good because it's shot using a lower angle. The blue Porsche, it looks good because it's got a beautiful sunset in the background and a decent angle. So you have to understand that the background is not cluttered and the angle is good. Similarly, the Bugatti, it's a 64 scale, but because of the background and the magnification effect, it's looking good. And lastly, the multi-scale picture of the Mercedes Evo 190, it is looking good because it has got a symmetrical framing and both the cars, they have got similar. Now here are some more exemplary shots because the reason why I find them to be so valuable is because these are shot on real tarmac, the tarmac on which real cars move, and you can understand that cars which fit in your hand, how difficult it is to shoot them on real tarmac. So you need to be very careful about the angle, but if you do enough hard work you can come out with some great images, as you can see in this picture. Focus points are also very important, and that is why it is always important to tap on the car to make sure that the focus is on the car, because when you are shooting from that low angle sometimes it is not possible to view the car. So just make sure that you are tapping on the car, tapping on the headlights or the tail lights or the wheels depending on the angle, so that the focus is on the car, and make sure that the distance is appropriate. Now these pictures are shot using the wide angle camera of the phone and it takes decent pictures. It is mostly for fun. And on the bottom left we've got this picture of the Hot Wheels Mercedes modern classic on a basket of eggs, and it has been shot by my friend Akhilesh, and I just wanted to put it in here to show you guys that what can be achieved. Some creative shots, some very nice looking creative shots can be achieved, but it is not for everyday usage. Maybe once or twice you can try it out for fun. The photos currently on your screen are the photos shot using the 3x optical zoom camera of the Samsung, and this is the again the same thing which I talked about earlier. You have to zoom into the car to create a magnified look. The cars look big, the cars look good, and if your phone has got a high quality zoom camera then you should try this. Otherwise, please make note that digitally zooming into a picture will ruin your photo quality, so it is not recommended. One of the last most important things which you need to take care about has to be scale accuracy, and generally I shoot outdoors, so I have to be extra careful because many other things can disturb my images. But in these we've got some small figurines and they have been made according to the size, the 64 scale, so you can see that they are lending a bit of authenticity to the image, and you can create some realistic settings, especially if you've got a nice looking diorama, then that would be amazing. So over here we've got a few shots. For example, the top right and the bottom left, the diagonal shots, they are multi car shots, like you try to fit in many cars in one frame, and that is not very easy with diecast photography, because what happens is that you have to shoot it from a distance to capture all the cars, and that can make your car look smaller. So make sure that you are shooting only the amount of cars which does not disturb your frame. To conclude, I just wanted to do a small comparison of this photo of the Pagani Huayra using my cell phone and my DSLR. Both have been shot at aperture 1.8 and shutter speed and everything is pretty similar. But the difference here is that the aperture of the DSLR works in a way that it blurs out everything in the background. However, on the phone you can see that the background is visible, and although it's a better angle on that photo, it is disturbing my frame. So that is the difference what you can say between the cell phone and the DSLR. And I just hope that this gives you a better idea on how to go about diecast photography, understanding what to use, when to use a cell phone, when to use a camera, and what all things you should keep in mind while taking pictures. So I hope this really helps you, and please remember to share your pictures with me. Please DM me or tag me and let me know that if this helps you. Also, if you've got some tricks which you would feel like sharing, please feel free to do that. Thank you.